Campaign 2008, from the White House to the State House. Join us as the Illinois Channel connects you to the candidates, the conventions, and the issues that will determine America's future and the future of Illinois.
Next from Springfield, one of our conversations with Senator Dick Durbin, who is seeking his third term in the U.S. Senate. This runs about 30 minutes.
And thanks for joining us on the Illinois Channel on this President's Day. And I guess there's just the reality is there's no day off for a U.S. Senator.
Well, I love this job. And people should be so darn lucky to get up every morning and have a job they want to go to and work at. And being a United States Senator from this state is a real kick. We've just got it all. And I think those of us who've lived in Illinois know that from southern Illinois, where my roots are, all the way up to Chicago, this state has a piece of everything. It's a great challenge, some great people, and I don't look on it as a chore and a job. I just think I'm lucky to have it and hope I can continue to do a good job.
You know, one of the things that we have had, certainly in recent times and maybe in future times, is some significant political clout. Denny Hastert was the Speaker of the House. You're the number 2 man in the U.S. Senate. And we'll have to see if our other senator, Barack Obama, becomes president of the United States.
Well, that would be nice. I would tell you, I'm supporting Barack, of course, but when Denny Hastert was in the House, I'm not sure people in Illinois understood it. We sure knew it in Washington. He wasn't as well known outside of northern Illinois and his district in the rest of the state. But on Capitol Hill, the Speaker is the most powerful person. The Speaker sets the agenda. The Speaker basically gets what he or she asks for when it comes to earmarks and legislation. And Denny Hastert did an exceptional job for our state. He happened to be there when the new federal highway bill was passed a couple of years ago. I was in the leadership in the Senate, and there I was from downstate. Here he was from suburban and downstate Chicago. And we had Barack Obama on the Public Works Committee, and Jerry Costello on the Public Works Committee for the Metro East area, and all the stars lined up. We brought in more federal dollars than any time in the history of the state for projects. Now we're still waiting for our General Assembly to pass a capital bill so we can start collecting those dollars. We've lost a year of construction and a year's worth of money. So I hope that they get on the ball this year.
You know, we're jumping ahead, but that's one of the things I did want to ask you about. With the state government not having a capital budget for 6 years, where does that leave those federal dollars, and are we in danger of losing those dollars?
We're already losing them. And here's why. Because they give you a fixed amount for a project, and they anticipate that over the 5 years of the highway bill that you'll at least move the project forward to some particular point, if not complete it. And so if you skip the first year, if you don't do anything in the first year, planning, engineering, site acquisition, construction in the first year, and put it off to the second year, guess what? It just got more expensive by a factor of 5 to 7%. Every year that we fail to come up with the state matching funds to bring in these millions of federal dollars, we're going to find a loss in the value of those federal dollars of at least 5 to maybe 10%. I'm pleading with the leaders in the General Assembly, what are you waiting for? If there's one thing the Illinois residents understand, we need more highways so that they're safer and it reduces congestion. We certainly need bridges to be safe. We found that out in Minneapolis, and we know there are plenty in Illinois that need work. We need work on our airports. We need to do things for mass transit up in the city of Chicago. We need to expand our rail service. There are so many things we need, and we're not going to see it done until the General Assembly gets it together and passes a capital bill.
What are they telling you? I mean, we hear, but when you talk to them, what are they saying the holdup is?
Well, the holdup has to do with personalities. There's some people who don't like one another over there, but it's time for them to grow up. They have a responsibility to the people of the state beyond who wins the battle for the morning headline. And secondly, how are we going to pay for it? Let's be honest. There's a lot of people being misled about the fact that this is just automatic. They need to have a revenue source to do it. One of the revenue sources they're debating is casinos. Will we expand the number of casinos in Illinois to come up with the money for a capital bill? Now, I am not morally opposed to gambling. I tell people I make a voluntary tax payment every week by buying a lottery ticket, knowing I'm never going to win. So I'm not morally opposed to it. But you got to step back and look at these casinos and say, is that the future in Illinois, casinos? Because if you look at the people going into casinos, by and large, they are people in lower income categories and the elderly. And are we going to have them gamble away their life savings as a way to finance the future of our state? You know, that is a fundamental question that the General Assembly has to face. I think if you went to the people of Illinois and said, here's the deal, we can create good paying jobs and we can create better roads and better transportation and a better infrastructure to build our economy by an increase in taxes, whether it's a gas tax or a sales tax or an income tax increase. We can do this because it's going to be dedicated. It isn't going to be thrown away. It's going to be dedicated to something you can see. I think the people will be receptive. I think they're looking for some honesty in this, and I hope that the General Assembly will face it that way.
There's so many things to talk about. Let's just talk a little bit about Senator Obama and that campaign. What do you make of his success? You were one of we were doing some interviews up at his headquarters on Super Tuesday, and a good friend of his, Senator Terry Link, State Senator Terry Link, was saying that even as late as 2006, Senator Obama announced in February of 2007 that Senator Obama, was still somewhat undecided. You were one of those who encouraged him, as I understand it, maybe the first.
Well, I don't know if I was the first. I was one of several, I'm sure. The big factor was Michelle Obama, his wife, and I know that because he told me as much. But I remember sitting down with him, and I think it was probably in November or October of 2006. Both of us were at the Union League Club. We gave a little speech in downtown Chicago, and it was 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. I'd been wanting to see him, and he said, oh, we have to sit down and talk. And we were about to walk out the door, and I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going home. I said, you got 15 minutes? And he said, I do. And I said, so do I. Let's get in one of these side rooms. We went to a side room and sat down, just the two of us, and had a real heart-to-heart discussion about this. And what I told him was my observation about running for president, at least by members of Congress, is that they kind of waited for the right moment. That moment when they weren't up for re-election, it was a good year, they could put it all together, and the right moment never came. Every other opportunity they could discount, saying, well, this isn't quite where I want to be. I need to do this and I need to do that. And I told him, don't wait for that moment. This is your moment. You have the national attention. You have an opening with President Bush retiring, obviously, at the end of his second term. And I think you can do it. What I've seen you do in Illinois, the crowds that you attract, the kind of diversity you have. And I'm not talking about racial or gender diversity or anything, but political diversity, independents and Republicans who feel comfortable with Barack's approach to politics. I said, I think you can really take that on the road nationally, and it can work. And we talked about other things. We talked about his family. He has 2 little girls. And he said, Michelle and I are trying to figure out how are they going to get through all this. Ultimately, they decided that their girls were just young enough that they would remember the hotel swimming pools and wouldn't remember a bad editorial in the New York Times. So they thought that worked out well. And Michelle was a little nervous. I know. I talked to her several times. She said, are they just, is he going to be a sacrificial lamb in this thing? And I said, I don't think so. I think he can win this thing. And so she was protective of her family, of her husband, obviously. She's turned out to be a great campaigner. So when he announced here in Springfield, February the 10th, if I'm not mistaken, of last year, at the old state capitol on a Saturday morning, and it was cold, about 12 degrees and wind chill much lower, a lady came up to me from New York who came out for the announcement. She said, I understand you got on the Obama wagon real early. And I said, no, ma'am, I was one of the people who hitched the horses to this wagon. And I really feel proud of what he's done. I mean, he hasn't let me down at all. I'm so proud of him. I mean, he's run such a great campaign. He has connected and resonated with voters. He has more popular votes than Senator Clinton or any other Democratic candidate. And he's doing well in states he's not supposed to do well in. He's won 23 states as we do this taping. We're right before Wisconsin and Hawaii. And she has won 13. They're very close in terms of the popular vote, but he's ahead. He's ahead in elected delegates by about 130 to 138, depending on your calculation. So it's been a very credible candidacy, and I think he can do it.